Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to start this lesson off by giving all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders, a great millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere sisters, the Akwath, and Shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathens. Now, this lesson is going to be based on this severe storm outbreak that's supposed to hit the central U.S. during the week, which we've already been seeing that. Certain parts of the central U.S. have been getting hit with tornadoes and hail and a lot of judgment. So through the Spirit, I'm going to read this article, get some precepts, and Lord's will, you're edified. This is a new severe storm outbreak with potential intense tornadoes is set to slam the central U.S. Friday, hitting areas already battered by a multi-day onslaught of twisters, massive hail, and historic flooding. The threat comes after nearly 4 dozen tornado reports and over 350 reports of hail, some as large as softballs, from Texas to the Great Lakes since Monday. More tornadoes are expected, some of which could be EF3 or stronger, with the greatest threat centered in western Wisconsin, southeastern Minnesota, eastern Iowa, and northwest Illinois. The storms will also be capable of destructive winds and large hail from Oklahoma City to Green Bay, Wisconsin, Friday afternoon and evening. A fresh surge of jet stream energy arriving in the central U.S. on Friday will tap into Gulf moisture, likely igniting a severe storm outbreak, meaning there will be numerous storms stretching from northern Texas to northern Wisconsin. There is a level 3 of 5 risk of severe thunderstorms with tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds Friday for places such as Chicago, Madison, Wisconsin, Kansas City, Missouri, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and Wichita, Kansas. A level 2 of 5 risk of severe storms is in place for Milwaukee, Oklahoma City, St. Louis, Des Moines, Iowa, and Springfield, Missouri. Storms will erupt as soon as early afternoon in the northern part of the threat zone, then expand southward. This first batch of storms is most likely to spin up intense tornadoes, possibly EF3 or stronger, and unleash more destructive hail, possibly up to near the size of softballs. Widespread damaging wind gusts of 60 to 90 miles per hour will be capable of uprooting trees and knocking out power when they become the main threat by late afternoon and evening as thunderstorms race east. Tornadoes could also still spin up along the leading edge of these storms. The storms could also produce flash flooding, including in already soaked Chicago and Milwaukee, where there have been dozens of water rescues in recent days. This system could produce one final burst of severe storms, with a threat of strong winds Saturday in the upper Ohio Valley. The storm-weary central U.S. will finally get a breather starting Sunday, as a welcome change in weather pattern ushers in cooler temperatures. Friday's storms arrive as parts of the Great Lakes deal with significant flooding after repeated rounds of rain this week. The region is coming off one of its wettest starts to spring on record, combined with snowmelt from a very active winter. Rivers in Michigan and Wisconsin have already hit major or record flood levels in over 20 locations. The Wolf River in Wisconsin was nearly a foot above its record flood stage on Friday morning, the level at which many streets in the village of Shiocton are covered by up to a foot of water. Shiakten officials said the village was dangerously underwater on Thursday evening after ordering evacuations on Wednesday, warning if you do not leave, you may not be able to get out. In Michigan, officials are closely monitoring several dams under stress from high water. A long stretch of the Muskegon River remained in major flood on Friday morning, with some locations nearing a crest while others were still rising. The flooding forced mandatory evacuations for anyone remaining in the floodplain below Crockton Dam in Newaygo County. The county's emergency services said. In Everett, Michigan, the river was nearing a crest on Friday morning after it forced rescues the day before when water began to impact homes, according to the Everett Fire Department. Residents near and north of the Sheboygan Dam complex were told to be ready to evacuate on Thursday morning as water levels continued to rise, reaching 5.16 inches below the top of the dam as of Friday morning. An evacuation order would be triggered if water reaches 1 inch below the top of the dam, a news release from the Michigan Department of Natural Resources states. Crews have been working around the clock to protect the dam, deploying pumps and sandbags and making alterations to increase water flow. Dams across Sheboygan County are at capacity, County Emergency Management Director Lieutenant Jeremy Rundstrom told CNN on Wednesday. This includes the Alverno Dam, which officials are also attempting to defend from the deluge. Its integrity is particularly significant because failure would send a torrent of water downstream to the Sheboygan complex, Michigan State Rep Cam Cavett told CNN. Said if that dam would go, it would take the Sheboygan Dam with it, he said Wednesday. On Thursday afternoon, residents living along a roughly 7-mile stretch of river between the two dams were advised to prepare and pack for possible evacuation. In Antrim County, Michigan, officials have also advised residents and businesses downstream of the Bel Air Dam to prepare for possible evacuation. Water levels were stable and trending down Friday morning after rising to within 12 inches of the top of the dam Tuesday. A flash flood watch is in effect for the potential failure of the Hesperia Dam in west central Michigan. Water levels were trending down, the Hesperia Area Fire Department said earlier Friday morning, but noted residents downstream should remain alert and have an evacuation plan in place should conditions change. So it's just something always happening, man. You know, like Isaiah 48:22 says, there is no peace, saith the Lord, unto the wicked. Like if it's not some apartment fire, destroying where people live, it's a tornado or it's a hailstorm or it's a torrential rainstorm that could cause dams to burst and, flood streets and cause power outages. It's just always something. That's how you know that we are living in the last days. Like it says in 2 Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. And the central U.S. is really getting hit with it, getting hit with the rain, getting hit with the hail, certain places getting hit with tornadoes. The Lord is opening up those gates of judgment. Isaiah 29:6, thou shalt be visited of the Lord Yahweh of hosts with thunder, and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. And the rainstorms and the hailstorms, those are the storms of the Lord. And then you have the tornadoes, the twisters and the tornadoes. And those are the tempests. Because when you look up the definition of tempest, it means a violent windy storm, such as hurricanes, tornadoes, twisters, things of that nature. And, I've said it before and I will continue to say it. The events that are currently taking place are proof that there is no getting around the validity of these scriptures. Because the scriptures say that the Lord would visit with storms and tempests and fires and earthquakes. And then you take a look at what's happening in the world, and that's exactly what's happening, So there is no getting around it. All the simple minded people that want to say that the scriptures are just make believe and that they're not real. It's like clearly you're not paying attention to what's going on. Isaiah 28:2, behold, the Lord hath a mighty and strong one, which as a tempest of hail and a destroying storm, as a flood of mighty waters overflowing, shall cast down to the earth with the hand. And that's what's happening. Hailstorms, these destroying storms that can rip the siding and the roofing off of buildings and homes, that can uproot trees, that can snap power lines. The torrential rains that can cause flash flooding in low-lying areas. And if that rain is too intense and lasts too long, it could cause these dams to overflow, which would cause so much destruction if those dams break. All of that water just rushing into these towns, just wiping out so many homes and possibly killing a lot of people. Like, the Lord really is not messing around in these last days. It is a very scary time. But these are exactly the times that the men of the Lord are warning people about. Psalms 11:6, upon the wicked he shall rain snares, fire and brimstone, and an horrible tempest. This shall be the portion of their cup. And in the article, it said that like 4 tornadoes had already touched down in certain parts of the central U.S. So the Lord, he's not messing around. Like I said, the weather is starting to get warmer. So we can expect to see a lot more twisters, tornadoes, wildfires. Like, things are going to get a whole lot more active out here in these last days. That's why those of us of the hopeful elect, we got to stay upon our watch and stay circumspect. Because you just never know when the Lord is going to, pour out some judgment. Psalms 83:14, as the fire burneth a wood, and as the flame setteth the mountains on fire. Verse 15, so persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. And that's clearly what's happening. The Lord's sending these powerful windstorms, these twisters, these tornadoes, sending these torrential rains and the hail. Yeah, the Lord, he's not messing around. And for all the simple-minded people that are not taking these things seriously, ultimately, these people, they're going to die. And that is the truth of the matter. It sounds harsh, but that's the reality of it. If you're not being circumspect, if you're not watching, if you're not paying attention, and more importantly, if you're not fearing the Lord, then you're going to die. There is no way around that. Luke 21:22, for these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. And the Lord visiting with storms, tempests, fires, and earthquakes is something that's written in the scriptures. And it's being fulfilled. We see it. There's more fires that are happening. There's more earthquakes. And there's more storms and tempests. The very things that the scripture said the Lord would be visiting with. And these fires and these storms and these tempests and these earthquakes are just going to get more intense, more destructive, more deadly, and they're going to happen more frequently. Because we're in the days of vengeance, and we are also in the last days where perilous times would come. So with that, I'm going to wrap it up here. Closing, I want to give all the praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim Rakakwadash, the Wadi Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, for putting the spirit on me to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Honors to all the brothers who are still fervently preaching the word in sincerity and in faith. Shalom to all the sincere Akwath, which are the sincere sisters. And shalom to the scattered Israelites who are amongst these heathen nations and look like these heathen nations. I hope you all stay strong, stay safe, stay fervent, stay circumspect, stay prayed up, and Adawan Ratazah. Till next time, Shalom.